This is every Roman's worst nightmare, I suppose. These are the men you have trained to kill, and they are now killing you. Must have been an absolutely devastating hour, and I doubt whether it lasted for more than that, before the slaves have killed everybody in the compound and have gone.
Suddenly they are armed and free. They make their escape into the countryside. Before this anger has burnt out, it will consume tens of thousands of lives. These 74 men are no longer slaves. They are fugitives. And as the adrenaline subsides, they're confronted with the question, what next?
That moment of euphoria would have passed very quickly, because they were wanted men, and they would have realized that when they were caught, they would be killed. They need a plan, they need a shape, they need some kind of structure in their lives.
The gladiators know that they need a leader. The man that they elect is Spartacus.
Spartacus must have had qualities of leadership. Men must have stopped and listened when Spartacus spoke to them.
First off, there would be his personal charisma, which obviously he had in spades. He's the kind of person that people listened to and would follow. And second, he seems to have had a vision. He had an idea what to do.
The first days after the breakout are about survival. They'll need food, clothing, and weapons. They travel through the countryside of southern Italy, stealing as they go.
He's a man with a plan. They're going to organize themselves into a fighting mobile unit, and they're going to disappear off country.
They make for the sparsely populated slopes of the dormant volcano of Vesuvius. Spartacus plans to make a base on the remote high ground. There they'll be able to prepare a defense for the moment when Rome responds. Meanwhile, news of the escape reaches the city. The men of the Senate hear what's happening. They know they have to act, but they don't believe this is any kind of crisis. To them, this isn't a national emergency.
This is a local problem, a police action. Not something we need to bestir ourselves about.
74 slaves is barely a fighting force. It's certainly not enough to disrupt the daily lives of Rome's elite.
Capua might as well have been thousands of miles away, in that Rome sees itself as the center of the universe and completely invincible.
A militia of 3,000 men is assembled to go and recapture the slaves.
The Romans who are sent out against Spartacus are not seasoned legionaries. These are raw recruits. These are at best rookies on the police force, and they're the ones who have been charged with fighting these gladiators.
The man who led them was an unknown official called Glaber, who seems to have been totally inexperienced, totally naive, no doubt did not take the threat seriously.
Glaber and his men march south to Vesuvius. And Rome goes about its business. Sometime later, the first reports arrive of what had happened. Glaber had come to the foot of the mountain. He had believed that he'd blocked Spartacus's only route down.
He's so confident he doesn't bother to fortify his camp. This is a major sin in Roman military thinking.
It is an embarrassing tale to hear. The Roman commander had been complacent and lazy.
we are talking here not just about an ordinary slave revolt. We are talking about a revolt by gladiators, men trained to kill. We are talking about a revolt led by an extraordinary man, one of the most dynamic men of the ancient world, in fact.
There had been another way off the mountain, the steep cliff to the rear of Glaber's camp. Spartacus had ordered his men to weave ropes from vines. Then they had abseiled down and launched a stealth attack when all but a few sentries were asleep. A massacre had followed. Spartacus had taken the camp and everything in it.
You'd have had gladiators used to hand-to-hand combat, taking on these Romans who are used to fighting in open squares in formation. It was no contest.
This is the point where a mere escape becomes a rebellion.
This is a wonderful gesture of defiance. He is saying, look, I can take this away from you whenever I like. You have the temerity to send these useless people against me. You are not treating me with the respect you should, and here is proof of that. I now have the formal trappings of your power.
What happens on Vesuvius sends out a message. It says that the Roman machine can be beaten by people who should be beneath its contempt. As word spreads, it ignites something in slaves all over southern Italy. They see in what Spartacus is doing a chance for freedom, and many simply run away from their masters. These men aren't gladiators. Most of them were laborers in the fields. They've never fought in battle, but they want Spartacus to command them. They become his responsibility. And they have different backgrounds. They speak different languages. As well as Thracians like Spartacus, there are Gauls, Germans, captives taken from wherever Rome's armies have fought.
They have the same goal, perhaps, the same quest for freedom, but that is an idyllic aim. It's not a reality.
It is for Spartacus to confront the reality. They are on the run.
He said, we're going to stay together, we're going to be disciplined, we're going to plunder the countryside for everything that we need, we're going to fight the Romans, and we're going to win.
Spartacus the slave has become a leader of men. And he has to get on with the practical business of fighting a war. He knows that in an open battle Rome would wipe these people out. An illegal insurgent force against the world's mightiest power. He must wage a guerrilla campaign. Spartacus faces months as a fugitive. He will be hunted by Roman militias. But he knows somehow how to outthink them all.
Spartacus doesn't have much choice except to fight dirty. They're going to attack when they don't expect it, where they don't expect it.
According to one report, when it appeared again that his troops had been cornered by the Roman forces, Spartacus waited till dark, and he gave the order for corpses to be tied to stakes in the ground. At a distance, they looked like guards. Spartacus sneaked his men out under cover of night. It wasn't until the dawn came that the Romans realized they had been laying siege to an empty camp.